All right, guys, welcome back. 1776 or bust. So on the table, you see this little guy right here, and obviously there are some little things that I've done to it already based on the fact that I've owned several P10s in the past. So, I kind of want to change some things, but we'll get into that in a second. But let's take a look at this gun. This is the CZ P10s, and this is the optics ready version, which you can see here because of the plate that is on the top here. I actually haven't done anything with this gun except for shoot it about 150 to 200 rounds about now. And I haven't really done much in regards to, putting an optic on there. I'm actually going to do a video on a plate adapter that I've gotten. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well in the video, just to kind of give you an idea what I think is maybe the biggest hang up of this gun compared to some of the other, versions of this or guns like this on the market right now. So this is the P10s. This is the subcompact version of the much heralded CZ P10C. Now the P10C has two iterations. It has the Gen 1s and the Gen 2s. I think even maybe some people might call it a Gen 3. This one is actually one of the originals. It has the magazine release on both sides. It also comes with, in this regards, you can actually see the back plate here is the newer one with that little cutout there. So even though it's one of the originals, it does have some of those upgrades that were needed because people were, having some issues with the striker rotating and then causing a problem. There isn't much done to this gun. I actually bought this used for under, I think about $300 if not less. The only thing that I've done to it is add the HB Industries trigger, which you can see right here in gray. And I do really, really like the HB Industry triggers. I do like the face of them. The fact that the safety on the trigger actually recesses all the way into the shoe is a big, big, big difference for me. And it's just me. It doesn't necessarily mean it fits you. As you can see, I also threw some night sights on here from Night Vision. And I mean, overall, I've put about 250 through this as well. And this gun has been great. I haven't had any issues with it. It's just really, really just been a fun gun to have back in the collection. It is a fantastic shooter, nice and flat. The ergonomics are very, very good on this gun. And it's a fairly good platform. I don't necessarily think it's perfect, but I think it's fairly, fairly good in regards to concealed carry, going to the range, and just overall use. But when they came out with the P10F and then the P10S, and you can get these without the optic ready version, but they came out with it as the subcompact version. And you can definitely see that there's a huge size difference between the two. As a matter of fact, you can see that there we go. The slide difference on both is fairly long compared to the P10S, and even the grip length is actually fairly long. So even though the P10C is called a compact, I think most people would probably agree that it's really not a compact because it's a little larger than a Glock 19, and it's not really a full-size gun, so it's kind of one of those hybrid in-betweeners, so to speak. But again, you can see that this grip here actually doesn't even come close to the bottom of the magazine. So I think that is actually a huge bonus for this particular model. As a matter of fact, I've called this gun the Goldilocks CZ P10 because I think it fits a lot of people. Now, this isn't going to fit everybody. Some people have really large hands, and there's no way that their hands are going to fit around this. However, you'll notice that I also put down this here. This is the UTG +0. Obviously, I live in New York, so I can only have 10 rounds. I had to get the magazine pinned to 10 because these come standard with 12 rounds, which kind of is pretty cool. I just wish I could actually benefit from that. They do make 10-round magazines for these, but I said, screw it, I'm not going to buy any just yet. So the UTG +0 actually, for me, is actually a pretty smart move because without it, what I was feeling when I was shooting is I just wasn't getting enough contact with the gun. I didn't feel that my hand had a good grip on it. I just felt like my pinky was dangling a little bit too much. And you can see right here that it really does not add a whole heck of a lot. As a matter of fact, the magazine base plate on the P10C, or excuse me, the P10S, really lines up with the bottom of this back strap. So you can see there's just a slight overhang from there. So you're not going to see a huge increase in size in regards to concealed carry, but you get a little bit better of a purchase and you just get enough of that pinky on there that to me makes a huge difference. Again, you can see I put the HB Industries trigger in here. I can't say enough about the company. They did a nice job. These are their new generation of triggers, and they're just really solid triggers. One of the complaints that a lot of people had on the original P10Cs was the fact that you really couldn't release the slide very well. Now, of course, there are going to be some people who are going to sit there and say, this is not a slide release, this is a slide lock. However, obviously there are some guns there that are out on the market that you can do both with. I have not had that luck with this firearm at all. Some people I think have said this has been easier, but it's very difficult to manipulate that slide with this. So I would not necessarily say that it's perfect in that regard. It's actually a lot easier on this side for some strange reason, but definitely not on that side. And I can't figure out why. I just can't. It's just, I think it's one of those little things that just doesn't work for me. The mag release, you can see, is not on both sides any longer. They changed that as well. So now you only have the single side here. However, you can actually take this and switch it over to there. So technically, even though it's not ambi out of the box, you can definitely make it usable for left-handed people. And you do have the ambidextrous slide release, slide lock, whatever you want to call it. So overall, that to me is good for different gun owners. Takedown is very similar to every other takedown on a P10. You have these two little levers here. You just kind of cock the slide back a little bit, push the levers down, and the slide comes off. You don't have to pull the trigger, which is a nice surprise. Not really different from any other P10. You've got your captured guide rod with the spring. Same barrel, same coating. It's basically a P10, guys, just a lot smaller. To me, I think one of the biggest, I would say, disappointments of this handgun, and there aren't many. It's a good solid gun. Shooting it was fairly comfortable to shoot. A little snappier, obviously, because it's smaller, but definitely manageable. But there are a couple of things that I noticed that are a little bit different or feel a little different to me. And the one thing that I've noticed is the undercut where your finger goes, the middle finger. On the P10C, it just seems like there's a larger undercut for the finger. Now, it could be me, but it feels like on the P10C, it actually extends a little bit further up. So you're getting a little bit more, I guess you can say, finger room. So you'll notice that right there, this part of my middle finger here is actually pretty uncomfortable there sometimes. So it does make me have to sort of, I guess, readjust the way I'm gripping the handgun. But I never noticed that on the P10C. The P10C just feels like there's a little bit more room. Now, obviously, it's a bigger gun, so it could be for that reason that they didn't make this undercut push forward as much as maybe on the P10C versus the P10S. Now, I didn't measure it, but I can definitely feel the difference. And I'd like to know if any of you guys have seen that as well. I know there's probably plenty of you out there that have both, or at least some experience with both. And I'd love to hear what you have to say about that to see if you're experiencing the same thing, or maybe it's just that I have a fat sausage finger. Not sure. Now, of course, these are going to be made out of Kansas City. This one was not. This was made out of the Czech Republic. I don't really know how I feel about that. I mean, obviously, it's made in the U.S., so that's always a good thing. But at the same time, I do like the fact that the originals were made in the Czech Republic, which to me means it's an original CZ. Again, some people may not like that I'm saying that, but, I think it loses a little bit of that mystique knowing that it's not from the Czech Republic. But again, that doesn't mean it's a crappy gun. It's just, personal use. Overall, the magazine functions well. I have had no issues with that, but I will tell you, even on this one, I never had any issues with this either. This magazine ejects very well, which I think is very good. The slide release works extremely well on this gun compared to the P10S, but again, this one probably has many rounds before I got it, and it'll have many more rounds after I've gotten it, obviously now. I mean, overall, if you guys are looking for a solid compact gun, you can always get the C, but if you're looking for a gun that I think actually fits the best of both worlds, the CZ P10S, I think, is a very, very good option for you. You don't have to get the one with the optic cut on it if you choose not to, and that'll actually save you some money. You can actually find these a lot of times in the 400 ranges, I guess about 400, and you just got to look on Gunbroker. Sometimes you get good sales if you can find them. These are still pretty difficult to find. I haven't seen any around me locally. I had to order this online in order to get it in. And to me, that's probably one of the other big drawbacks of CZ, because CZ does not push these a lot in regards to making too many of them. They kind of come in waves and then they go, and then they come back and then they disappear again. So to me, that's always been a drawback, especially if you really like their handguns. The P01s are difficult to find sometimes. The PCRs are hard to find. So those of you who have those guns, you know that. I have 3 P01s and a PCR. And as soon as I find them, I usually buy them because they're very difficult to find for the most part. In regards to the overall function of the gun, it's great. The finish is very nice. Everything looks really sharp on the handgun, and it fits really nicely in the hand. There are some differences in the texturing on the grip. There is a little bit, or maybe, it's so hard to tell. But I would say that the rear of this grip on the P10C definitely feels a little bit more aggressive, but it could also be because there's more surface area. So more surface area means more sharp edges versus the smaller surface area, which means less. But overall, you can definitely feel it. This one feels a little bit smoother, but not to the point where you're going to lose control of your gun or it's going to slip out of your hand. I think CZ did a really good job with this handgun, but I'm going to tell you what my biggest complaint about this gun is overall out of the box, and is the fact that this does not come with any plates. You have to buy them. And even when it was released, it was very difficult to find them. Right now, you can find them, but again, very sporadically. You're not seeing just a tremendous inventory for them. And there are some people out there who are charging a premium price for these plates. I mean, we're talking $60, $70 for a metal plate to attach to this. So I did order one off of eBay. It did come in. It's kind of cool looking. I can't wait to install it, and I'll do a video on it when I do. But I mean, overall, the gun itself is a very solid handgun. This one came with the night sight, so you guys can see that it has that front sight on there, which is actually a little bit bigger orange sight than some of the ones that they used to make. And then you have the blacked up rear, which are serrated. So overall, it's a nice package. You know, do I think it's going to be the best out of the box package for an optic ready pistol? Not really, guys. I think still the Masada beats it in that, even though the Masada is like 4 times bigger than this. But I just think if you like the CZs, you like the P10C, this to me would be a natural progression to go from this to this. Why? Because this one is obviously much more concealable, and it is just a really fine handgun to shoot. Also, to give you a quick comparison into one of the, obviously, the granddaddies of all handguns in regards to compact markets, this is going to be the Glock 19. This is Gen 4. And to give you a kind of a size comparison, you know, the Glock is, I think most people would agree, one of the smallest compact guns you can find and also carry. So as I zoom in there, let me get this out of the way here. As I zoom in, and I'll try to get the slides to match up top, you'll notice that the P10 is just slightly smaller. The magazine on the Glock 19 extends out a little bit more, so as a result, it gives you a little bit more of a footprint. But you can see that my pinky is right where it would end on the CZ P10C, so all you're really talking about is the mag base plate on a Glock. And again, if you put them up side by side, see if I can do that, you'll notice here, let me do it this way. Maybe it'll show up better. I want you guys to be able to see this. But if you do it this way, what you're going to find is that it's almost identical in length with the magazine in here versus the magazine or no magazine there. It's almost a virtual identical length of the grip. So if you can handle a Glock 19 without the magazine in and you feel comfortable carrying it, I really honestly think if you get this UTG plus 0 plate to it, you're going to really feel basically the same security knowing that it's about the same size as the Glock 19. Obviously, the muzzle's a little bit shorter, but other than that, it's a lot of similarities in the gun size. You can see here that the Glock 19 is longer than the CZ P10s, but overall, they're both good choices. But if you do like the ergonomics and you do like the better trigger out of the box, obviously a P10s would be the way to go, plus the optics ready version. So tell me what you think. Do you like the P10s? Is it a gun that you've considered, a gun that you own? Do you have a P10C, the F, the S, whatever you have? Let's see what you guys have. And let me know what you think about this gun. Do you think it's actually a fairly good contender in regards to the subcompact market with the optics ready? I think it's pretty cool. I can't wait to shoot this with the optic on it when I get it. And I'll do a follow-up video on that, guys. So stay tuned. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay safe. And as always, freedom is never free.